that was the year we were meant to qualify for the World Cup. A lot of money had been invested. That was really, really tough, and almost got to a point where I was going to retire from that loss because we're given everything. You have to hustle to work your way around, and I think that's a special thing that Zimbabweans have.
What is one defining moment that led you on the path that you are on today?
When I was like 10 years old or something like that, I wrote a letter to my mom to say that one day I'm going to qualify or play in a World Cup.
The Zimbabwean Sables team qualified for the 2027 Rugby World Cup. Like, how does that feel, homie? Like,
it was
what?
Unreal.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing? Sawonani, uri right here, uri bo. How are you? Welcome to another episode of With Nyasha Michelle. And I was bringing in those Southern African words just because I need to remind you that this whole season, we are coming to you from Harare, Zimbabwe. This whole season is about celebrating the change makers in this country who are doing amazing things and inspiring people like yourself and myself. Now, if you've been following us already, thank you. And if you haven't, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe at With Nyasha Michelle, also on the socials. You can also listen to us on podcast platforms, right? And you can follow me at Nyasha Michelle _. Today's conversation is great. It's exciting. I was already telling him that I don't know anything about sports, but I'm going to love this conversation because I'm speaking to one of rugby's greats. Who's your favorite player? Who's the one that has led Zimbabwe to the top? Hilton Mudariki. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. And yourself?
I'm great, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Thanks for coming.
No worries.
Thanks for coming. How does it feel when people say things like that you've led the country to the top?
You know what? It still doesn't like sunk in properly. Yeah, it's just amazing just to be part of that group that changed history. You know, we haven't been to a World Cup in such a long time.
Yeah.
So for me to be part of that was truly special, and to lead the team as well. Something that's super unreal.
Captains, y'all carry a load that I can't even imagine. But we're going to, unravel that a little bit more during this conversation. I do want it to be an opportunity for people to get to know you beyond the sports. So let's start with a question that I love asking everybody who sits in that chair, which is, what is one defining moment that led you on the path that you are on today?
Wow.
We'll be right back.
If you're part of the Zimbabwean community or send money anywhere in Africa, this one's for you. Today's episode is sponsored by TapTapSend, a fast, secure, and convenient way to send money to family and friends back home. No stress, no hidden fees, just your money getting where it needs to go. And here's the best part. If you're a new user, you get £20 free on your first transfer using my code MUNYASHA. If you've been meaning to find a better way to send money, now's the perfect time. Download TapTapSend, don't forget to use my code MUNYASHA, and claim your free £20 bonus. The link is in the show notes. Now back to the show.
Now, back to the show.
It's quite a tough one. I'd probably say, and I always tell this story, I think when I was like 10 years old or something like that, I remember I wrote a letter to my mom to say that one day I'm going to qualify or play in a World Cup.
Oh.
So I think that was like the defining moment for me. I literally like made a decision as a young 10-year-old, and then to see years later that come to life was so awesome. So I'd probably say that was like one moment that I made a decision and I stuck to it, and here we are.
As a 10-year-old,
yeah,
please inspire us. Because how is a 10-year-old knowing what they want to do? By the way, I know there are many people like this. Maybe even some of the people watching or listening are like that. But I'm not like that. Me, I was here, there, and everywhere, and I just really thank God for my mom, because she was like, okay, you want to go do this? Okay.
Yeah.
You want to do this? Okay. That's how I discovered who I want to be.
Yeah.
But of course, you had that privilege, that blessing to be able to know that this is what you want to do. Why was that?
Honestly, I hated being in class. I hated school. So I just said to myself, I don't want to sit behind a desk. After I'm done with school, I just want to be outdoors. I want to be outside. And I was so in love with sport. I mean, growing up, I played all the sports that you can think of. But I think at that moment in time, rugby was like the main thing. Although it did fade away for like a little bit towards my high school career, I started focusing a lot more on cricket, and I was doing really well in
Really?
cricket. Yeah. Actually got a contract when I was like 16 years old to play franchise cricket here. So that was the path that I was going to go on. So as a young 10-year-old, rugby was was the dream. Fell out of love with it for a little bit. Then cricket took over, doing really well there. And then rugby just kind of took over last minute in my
It
final
came
years
back.
of school. Yeah.
Last minute. Before you
Literally.
walked down the aisle with cricket, it was like, no, 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 no,
It's
no, no,
like,
no.
nah.
I gotta take him back. I gotta take him back.
Exactly.
Why did you
Exactly.
fall out of love with rugby?
You know, I went to school in South Africa, and being in that environment, you know, you're always having to prove yourself every single time. I wasn't a South African, so I was competing with other South African boys. So for representative teams and things like that, I had to prove myself way more than you know, like a South African would. And it was really disheartening at times because you know, you put in so much effort, and you know you're doing well, and you're putting your best foot forward, but because of your nationality, for example, you can't make a team. And you know, back then they had the quota system within their sport, where you know, a certain number of players of color had to be in the team. But myself being a foreigner, I was counted as a white player, white player, and so I wasn't making teams because of that. Because players of color had to be in the team, so you know, I was kind of classified as a non-player of color. So
My gosh.
so that was tough, and I fell out of love with that. But with cricket, I was doing really well. I was captaining representative sides, and you know, that didn't really play a part because I was basically being picked on merit. But then, yeah, my final year of high school, rugby just took over, and I started enjoying it again. Made representative teams, and then yeah, that's when I decided, look, I'm gonna give this a go and see where it takes me.
I love what you mentioned earlier about race, because we're definitely going to go into your whole journey and how you got to be where you are, to be the captain of Zimbabwe's national rugby team. But before we get to there, you mentioned race, right? When I was thinking, just as you're talking about rugby, for me, what I see rugby is it's great. It's representative. I told you before the cameras were rolling that my favorite rugby team. I know it should be Zimbabwe, but where I got introduced to rugby was when I was living in New Zealand. So All Blacks, shout out to All Blacks all day, every day, you know. And when they do the haka, the first time I saw that, I was like, damn. But what I have seen within rugby is it's very white dominated, or like things are like changing a bit. Actually, I don't know. You tell me. So why has it been like that? And then are you seeing changes within the sport where it's becoming more representative and there are more black players being allowed to get into the sport?
Yeah, definitely. I think it is changing. If you look at our team right now, you know, it's not something that we look at. You know, you don't really like sit there and say, okay, there are X amount of black players or X amount of white players, but you can see that there's balance, and it's actually more dominant towards the black players within the team. So I think we're starting to see change. I think rugby is always seen as a privileged sport. It's very, very hard to kind of get into it, but the cool thing is that, like here in Zim, you're starting to see a lot more schools, especially your government schools, introducing rugby quite early, which then allows you know, players that might not necessarily have had the opportunity to attend your St. John's or your Falcon or your Peterhouses, because that's where, you know, players are being looked at, right? You always look at the private school guys, but then there's so many gems within these government schools. You know, guys that might never have been seen before, but they now have the opportunity to play, and we're starting to see this this unreal talent that there is. So I think we're heading in the right direction in terms of getting our balance right.
That's good.
Yeah.
We like progress. It's, we're now past 2020,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
well,
yeah.
by the time this comes out, it's going to be in 2026. But like, we're now in a good space where these conversations, we should be having less of them and more about like the people and the skill that are in the sport.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing to hear. And speaking of opportunity, let's go back to you now, right?
Yeah.
Like you were doing rugby, 10-year-old pens that letter, and then you're pursuing it, fall out of love with it, as you mentioned. What joy did cricket bring you? And then what made you go back to rugby?
At the time, so as I said earlier, I went to school in South Africa. So we were just told Springboks, Springboks, Springboks. Everything was about the Springboks, And just being in that environment, and the Springboks were doing well. So they'd won a World Cup at the time. So there was a huge buzz around the Springboks. So I actually wanted to play for the Springboks at a certain point in time. I think Zimbabwe Rugby was not really put out there. I actually didn't know that we had a national team when I was at school. You obviously knew that there was always like schoolboy rugby and stuff, but the national team, there wasn't really anything that you heard about it. You heard a lot about the Sevens. The Sevens was doing really well at that point in time. But with the men's 15 side, there wasn't really anything put out about it. So
guess what? The person in me who doesn't know anything about sports, I'm going to have to stop you there for a moment.
Yeah.
Yes, in my research, I've read about the Sevens.
Yeah.
But who are the Sevens? And then you said men's 15. Just explain a little bit for some people like me who are like, I don't know what that is.
Sure. So the Sables is your men's 15 side, so 15 players in the team. And then the Sevens, they're known as the Cheetahs. So it's seven aside, so 7v7, 7 minutes, a half. So it's two different codes, but it is both rugby. So that's where my actual Zimbabwe rugby journey started. Was with the Sevens. So that's where I got introduced to rugby and Zim, and then eventually went on to the 15s. So it's a great pathway to kind of get involved. Completely different codes. But all the same.
What do you mean by code?
So code, so you have, within rugby, you have different, how can I say it? So they're like different games, basically. So you've got your 15s, which is obviously more people on the field, longer. So you've got 40-minute halves. And then your sevens is just, as I said earlier, 7 people versus 7 over 7 minutes. Doesn't sound like a long time, but trust me, when you're on that field, it's like death. You have to be seriously fit.
Yeah.
So that's what, and then you've also got like rugby league, which is also part of, like, it is also a rugby, but that's not really played here in Zim. That's more New Zealand, Australia. So they just kind of specify them as codes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So sorry. Let's go back to the question.
Yes.
Like, what was it about cricket that you really loved? But then how did you get back to rugby?
So I saw a future in cricket because Zimbabwe cricket is known for playing on the world stage. And obviously, you start looking at the future, like, okay, what's rugby going to give me, especially rugby and Zim. But cricket can give me, a good life. So I think that's what was kind of taking me there, just looking long term. But then, contracts started to come when I was at school. I started getting rugby contracts. I was like, I can actually like make a living out of this, So that's what kind of took me back there. Zimbabwe cricket was also, there was a time where it had its dips, bad environment to be in. And then rugby in South Africa was going well. I was part of franchise systems. I was getting contracts. So I think that's what kind of took me back there again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's another. Explain what that is to Nyasha moment. What is a franchise system?
So a franchise system is you have your your representative sides. So for example, here we have Mashonaland, Manicaland.
Yeah.
And then so within that they will have a team. So a franchise is a team that's from that area, but that is privately owned. So you have investors that invest in that team. So they own the rights to that team. So you have a franchise system, you have a club system. So club is like your general, and then you have franchise, which is like one above that, and then you have your national right after that. Yeah.
Hey.
Yes, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, there is a lot, but it's fine because I'm not trying to be a scholar in it. I just want to make sure that I give a valuable conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you've decided this is like something that I could actually make a living off. What is one? Do you remember your very first match that you won?
I actually do. So I started playing rugby when I was like 6, but that was just more like tag rugby, so no contact like you would see now. So obviously we're still learning the game, we're quite young, but I think grade 5 was when we started playing like proper games, and I do remember that day. It was a gateway school. It was a festival, and we were playing against Hartman House, who were always a big rival school. I got to learn about that, and we beat them. So I do remember that game.
How did it feel to beat them and to win the game?
Oh, special, awesome. Obviously we play sport to win.
Yeah.
So having won that, I think at the time, you're quite young, so you're told just go out there and have fun, whether you win or lose, which is always the right thing. You must go out there and enjoy. But I think as you get older, the wins are important. Yeah. Whereas at that age, not so much. I think it's just more about going out and enjoying it. But it was a good feeling.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the wins. We got to talk about the losses now.
Oh, yeah. Tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
What is one game that you've lost and that really it irked you or it affected you, and how did you overcome how it made you feel?
I'll probably go as recent as 2022 when we played against Namibia, who have always been a thorn in our advancement of trying to qualify for World Cups and things like that. We had prepped so well in that year. That was the year we were meant to qualify for the World Cup. We were very confident going into that tournament that, we've prepped very well. A lot of money had been invested in Zim Rugby, so we're in a good space. And then only to go out and lose that game in the semi-final. That was tough. That was really, really tough. And coming back from that was really hard. I almost got to a point where I was going to retire.
Really?
At that point. Yeah, I was just so mentally exhausted from that loss because we're given everything, absolutely everything. And I, for myself, had given absolutely everything, only to come short. So yeah, that was really tough. But looking at it now, I'm so happy I did not do that.
Yeah, because you went on to, you went on to beat their. So, but before we talk about how you felt in 2024 when you guys beat Namibia, I want to know how you even got to be in these shoes. So when did you then come from doing rugby whilst at school, and then you started doing professionally, and then eventually become the captain?
Yeah, so after school I signed a contract with Western Province in South Africa, Cape Town region. So spent 2.5 years there. After I finished that, I went to the UK, spent a year with Saracens, a very, very good team that's based in the UK. Learned a lot there, loved my time there. And then I came back to South Africa because I wanted to study as well. I mean, that was always the deal with my mom, right? If you guys want to play, get your degree. Yeah. So if anything happens, you have something to fall back on.
Yeah.
Exactly. So so that was cool. And university rugby in South Africa is like really massive. It's like your college football.
Yeah. In America.
In America. Massive. So it allowed me to be a student athlete, but also be in a professional environment, which was always what I wanted. And then from there, doing really well. I was there for 3 years, got my degree, and then I moved to the UK, where I played for Jersey Reds.
So you actually used to live in the same land as
Yep.
me. That little island.
Yep.
That little cold
Yep.
island.
Yep.
Oh,
Spent 4 years there.
seriously?
Yeah. I played rugby there for 4 years, and then obviously COVID hit.
Oh, okay.
Contracts were terminated, so that was also a really tough time. Contracts terminated. The club even went under. Never recovered after that. So that's when I moved back home. Very worried, very scared because I did not know what was next. I was still playing for the national team, but I was based overseas, so I'd fly in whenever there's a camp or a game coming up, go into camp, if selected, I'd play. And then, so I moved back. And that was an interesting time because, it was the time of the unknown, right? No one knew what was gonna happen. But when things started opening up again, Zimbabwe Rugby was in a pretty decent space. So it was something that I was like, okay, cool, let me give this a full on crack. Then the coach, he had this great idea, sat a couple of players down and said, listen, this is what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to work towards qualifying for the World Cup. So I was like, yeah, I'm super keen. So in 2020, that's when I was made captain of the Sables. So initially I was vice captain. From 2018, 2019, I was vice captain. And then the captain retired because we failed to qualify, so new coaches came in. Then the coach that came in asked me to captain the team. I lie, initially I was made vice captain. Another guy was made captain.
Okay.
He got injured in, I think, the very first game.
Oh.
I think he broke his ankle. And then I just took over. And then the coach permanently made me the captain of the Sables. So yeah, that was
Why?
a pretty special moment. I don't know. I've always just seen myself as a leader. So I've captained teams right the way through. So from when I was young, right the way through cricket, rugby, I captained first teams at school, representative teams. So I've always had leadership within me. So I think he just kind of saw something in me that he was like, yeah, because I mean, I've never told myself that I want to be the captain of the Sables. I just wanted to play. Captaincy is a bonus. It's something that comes with it. If without playing well, good performances, you can't make the team. So they select the team is selected, then the captain's selected. So obviously to keep the captaincy title, I need to be playing well. So it does come with a lot of pressure, but it's something that I enjoy quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you're the perfect person for me to ask this question. I'm very inspired by sportsmen, sportsmen, sportswomen, because I think you guys have got a particular way of thinking. This is why I also asked you the question of how you dealt with the disappointment of losing a game, because it can be so crushing.
Yeah.
So outside of playing well, when we are looking and we're watching the game, right? What makes a good captain?
I think, and I've learned this over the last couple of years that I've been captain. I think when I started, I used to take all the responsibility upon myself. I always wanted to make sure that I'm perfect, because obviously players are looking at me. So you want to be that perfect person, but you want to take everything on. And then as I've gotten more into this role of captaincy, I guess as I've gotten a little bit older, I've learned that sharing it is super important. Number one, it allows you to focus on your personal game, because if I look back then, my personal game was struggling a lot. I wasn't playing well, simply because of the pressures. But now I've learned that okay, I can delegate. I've got a great leadership group that I work really well with, and I just kind of designate certain roles to them, which then allows me to play my game, but also to take a bit of pressure off me. I don't know everything. There's another person in the team who might be good at a certain aspect of the game, so I make that his baby. And then I give someone else another responsibility. I give someone else a responsibility to deal with the troublesome guys in the team, because he can kind of work with those kind of guys. So think that's what makes a good captain. I think being able to share, and also just knowing yourself that you don't know everything, so you can lean on someone or get a bit of advice from someone else.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Do you want to know what it's like to live in a Velda Estates gated community? Well, imagine this. You drive home from work and the security guard greets you with a smile. He knows you. It's after dark, but the tarred streets are brightly lit by solar streetlights and your neighbors are out enjoying an evening walk. As you pull up to your home, you notice the bins have been collected. That's taken care of every week by the Velda Estates Homeowners Association. This is your home that you built for yourself. A stand for just $25,000 and a house for just $50,000. Inside, the kids have showered and are doing their homework. Water is never a problem here, but you realize that you forgot bread for their lunch. But then you smile, because the shops are just outside the community fence, because Velda Estates made sure that all conveniences are close by. This is the lifestyle at Velda Estates, the season sponsors of With Nyasha Michelle. You can reach them on Facebook or via the numbers on your screen.
Now, back to the show.
Wow. Do you feel that pressure to add that or to share that insight with your brother? Because your brother also plays rugby.
Yeah.
It runs in the family.
It does. It does.
Yeah. So do you also kind of captain your brother as well?
I think when we were younger,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. When we were younger, I mean, I used to share my fault. So sorry for him, because I used to like drill sports into him. But you know what? He always says, "Age, I'm so thankful that you pushed me so hard," because, even how his journey started. Like, I'll make it short. He finished school, didn't know what he wanted to do, went on a gap year. And my mom called him back home because he was just doing nonsense there in Cape Town. He came back with no plan. So at the time, we were working towards a qualification in 2014, and I was playing club rugby. I'd come back for like a month, and he was around. I dragged him to come to a club training session with me.
Yeah.
Then the coach was like, "Oh, this guy's pretty decent." And then he was like, "Oh, you're going to play this weekend." He got selected to play for the club. And then it so happened that it was a derby game. So we were at Old Georgians and we were playing Old Aurorians. It's a big derby game. The national team coach was there. Saw this guy played well. Next thing, he got called up to the national team camp. Ended up playing for Zimbabwe when he was 19 years old. When he played for the Sables, there was a French team that was watching us, and they offered him a contract. And then that's how his life changed, and he's become this amazing rugby player, someone that I really look up to and super inspired by as well.
Wow.
So yeah, we help each other out in certain aspects, which is cool. I mean, I think he understands the pressures that I have. So he's someone that I can lean on, and he coaches me as much as I coach him.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that, but I'm always very surprised when I find out about families where everyone does like the same thing, or like there is just this talent that stems in there. Clearly it's in the bloodline. So we know that rugby is your thing.
Yeah.
But I do also want to know, Hilton, outside of rugby, what other things really get you going? Other things that you're passionate about?
I'm very, very passionate about philanthropy work. I have a foundation that I started a couple of years ago, where help disadvantaged kids. We haven't really set what exactly we want to do, so we're kind of tapping into everything at the moment. So giving back to those kids is, for me, is really special. I've been lucky to have attended really good schools and been given an opportunity to show my talents, and some of these kids don't have that opportunity. So for me to be able to help a kid out who might never have been seen before, and he has the opportunity to attend play in a soccer match or be scouted or something like that, that gives me real joy. We also help work with orphanages, kids that have absolutely nothing. We recently had we hosted a Christmas party for an orphanage, and just seeing those kids just be happy, being in an environment that they're not used to, having the opportunity to play and have a nice meal. Those are the kinds of things that I enjoy and that really, really get me going.
Yeah. And what difference do you want to see in their lives?
Just as I said, just to create opportunities. I think everyone deserves a fair chance to put themselves out there. Like I said, there's so many hidden gems in this country, sportsmen and women that we might never see simply because they haven't had an opportunity. So if I can help, 3 or 4, and we get the next Hilton Mudarikis out of that, then I know that I would have done my fair share.
Yeah, your fair share. And speaking of doing their fair share, I'm trying to do my fair share. So as a media entrepreneur, right, I've been living in the UK, I've lived in other countries where I've gained a lot.
Yes.
A lot of knowledge, a lot of skill. And I when I decided to do this season here in Zimbabwe, one is about coming back home. So, I mean, why not? Why would I say no? But I've also been wanting to have conversations with people like yourself in different sectors where we can celebrate those sectors, right? But also have honest conversations about where we can improve as Zimbabweans, because there's going to be a lot of people who are tuning into this who hopefully can be inspired one way or the other. So sports, but let's take it beyond sports. Let's really hone in on rugby. What's one thing that you would love to see improve in rugby, in terms of rugby in Zimbabwe?
I think, having a national team run properly is going to require a lot of investment. It's always something that we struggle, and we're so grateful for the sponsors that have come on board, but we definitely need a lot more to come on board in order for us to get to where we really want to get to. I think a lot of people in the country and around the world are expecting us to go to the World Cup and win a lot of games, which we want to do. As I said, you play the sport because you want to win. But in order for us to get to that point where we want to get to, it's going to require a lot of investment. We're competing with people that are doing this full time.
Yeah.
We're still in an amateur setup. We're not even at a semi-pro level, which is very scary because we're going up against professionals. We're lucky that we've got quite a few guys that have played outside the country in a professional environment. We've got guys that are playing professionally now, so it does help. But for us to get to where we want to get to, a lot of investment is going to be needed to be put in. So that's one thing that I hope people will start to invest a lot more in rugby, because we have great talent in this country, and I feel like we can go really, really far in this sport. We just need that backing.
Is the level at which you play at, is that not already professional?
We're making it work. Literally making it work as we go. We're making it work. But we need to get to a point where we professionalize the sport. Cricket have done it. Football are also doing it. So we need to make sure that we get to that level as well.
Outside of the investment, what needs to happen in order for it to be professionalized?
Yeah, obviously everything requires money. You can't drop everything as a player, because you need to put food on the table. You've got bills to pay. So right now, people are making it work. You might have a 9 to 5. You're doing that, but then you're also trying to fit in your training in between. You're trying to make sure that you're eating properly as well, because that's very important. And as a supporter or supporters, we as players, we can't make excuses, because what's required of us on a Saturday is to put in a good performance and win. Whatever's going on in your life, a supporter doesn't care about that.
I agree.
Yeah, and you know what? That is the reality. That is the reality. People are paying a gate fee to come and watch you.
Yeah.
Right? And you can't make excuses.
Yeah.
So you have to be organized in terms of making sure, if you have a 9 to 5, you're getting that done, but then you're also getting your training done. Or if you're hustling or whatever it might be, just make sure that you're putting in the work, because supporters, they just want to see good performances. So yeah, it is tough, but yeah, we make it work. Wow. Zimbabweans always make it work. We always make it work. whatever's thrown at us,
Yeah.
we always make sure we make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely a common thread
Mm.
of conversation
Yeah.
I've been having with people. And I was saying to somebody, oh my gosh, like Zims are so like they're just hustlers, blah blah blah. And then the other person was like, yeah, because we have to.
Yeah.
And even when we had Jackie here, she was like, listen, if we did not have to do that, we wouldn't be.
Exactly.
We wouldn't be. But I do commend us for where we've gotten to.
Definitely.
Because there's a lot of obstacles.
Definitely.
There's been a lot of obstacles.
Yeah.
So then that really paves the way for me to find out from you what you feel at least is what we should celebrate about what Zimbabwean rugby has managed to achieve.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, qualifying for this World Cup, it's given people hope again. People are interested in the sport again. In the schools, you're starting to get youngsters wanting to play for the Sables. It was always a thing of, I want to go play for the Springboks.
Yeah.
That's what I want to
South
do.
Africa.
Finish
South Africa.
school, I'm going to go play for the Springboks. But now you've got people wanting to play for the Sables. It's so cool, driving around town and seeing people in Sables jerseys, for example, which is amazing. And it's something that we hadn't seen. So that national pride has come back. So I think that's something that Zimbabwe Rugby has done. And, when we went to these qualifiers, we said, there's so much that goes on in our country. So people are struggling. There's so much going on. But, if we can put smiles on people's faces for 80 minutes on a Saturday, then we've done our job. And we've managed to do that. I mean, the videos and the stuff that you saw on social media when we were playing in Uganda was unreal, like goosebump stuff. Seeing watch parties absolutely packed and people with Sables jerseys supporting the Sables, going crazy after we qualified. That definitely made us as players feel like we had done what we wanted to
proud.
achieve. Yeah.
Proud because Zimbabwe is really trying.
Yeah.
Like this year, I asked you if you like cricket because this year I went to my very first cricket game because the Zimbabwean cricket team managed to go to play in UK for the first time in I believe like 20 plus years.
Yeah.
My Zimbas turned up.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
I went with 2 friends. I left with God knows how many and I saw everybody, including my little nieces. Like
That's
everybody was there.
Yeah.
And something that I really loved as well is a lot of the English people, like as in the white English people, they just sat there. After the games, they didn't leave.
Yeah.
Because the Zimbabweans came and they were like playing different types of songs. Of course, they were singing the songs, not playing it on speakers. Like singing the songs, all the songs that you play that you sing in like school.
At school, that
sports,
war cries.
war cries.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to see that. And I literally went, just because a friend of mine was like, yo, Nyasha, you be working too much. You need a break. Let's go watch cricket.
Nice.
And I remember I was like, I don't like cricket, but I'm going to go because I know it's going to be a vibe.
Yeah.
And I felt proud. I know nothing about cricket. And also, I believe we did not perform very well.
Yeah.
But it was a friendly.
But yes, yeah.
Yeah, and also,
it was a one-off game. Like
Yeah.
I said, hadn't been done in a very long time, 20 years. So, yeah.
Yeah, so like, where do you want to see Zimbabwean rugby go to?
I think just playing on the world stage consistently.
Yeah.
If we, like I said, if we're putting in the work and if people come on board and people believe in the vision, I believe that we can get there. It might not be in the next, 5 to 10 years, but I truly believe that, we can definitely get there. Just playing on the world stage in a regular, getting to a point where, we're playing the Springboks consistently, we're playing the All Blacks consistently. That would be really cool. Hopefully this has opened that door and paves the way towards that.
I mean, 2027.
Yep.
2027.
100%.
If you didn't know, this captain right here has made sure that Zimbabwe, right? Listen, I told you, I don't know anything about rugby, right? So I want to make sure I say the right things. So, I'm just going to read this because I think it's really cool. So like you led Zimbabwe, and correct me if anything is wrong on here. So you led Zimbabwe to the 2024 Rugby Africa Cup, right? And you upset 9-time champions.
Yes.
Namibia in the semi-final. I mean, that's already, we got to clap for that. And this was, wow. Zimbabwe's first victory over Namibia in 23 years.
Yeah.
So that's great. But we're not finished. At Satita Pizza, like we say in Shona. In the final, the Sables defeated Algeria 29-3. And Sables captain led Zimbabwe in the 2025 Rugby Africa Cup. Again, defeating Namibia. Yo, Namibians, I know I love you guys. I was there recently, but guys, for this one, I'm all about Zim.
Yes.
And of course, that meant that the Zimbabwean Sables team qualified for the 2027 Rugby World Cup, their first time since 1991, since before you were born. Like,
Since
how does that feel, homie? Like,
It was
what?
unreal.
Yeah.
And you know what? It did not, like, it had not sunk in. I think up until we got back, they, like, getting to the airport and seeing how packed the airport was, people, like, pulling through, to welcome us back. I was like, this is wild.
You've made the nation proud.
Yeah, no, it was really awesome. It's something that you usually see, like, on TV, like when the Springboks won the World Cup, when they came back, the whole airport was packed out for them. So for us, we weren't really expecting that. But then just to see the turnout was wild. It was absolutely wild. So a really, really good feeling. And just, like I said, just blessed to be part of it, to be part of that history. Something that, we hadn't done, or that hasn't been done since before we were born. So yeah, it was such a cool feeling.
I like what I said. Sometimes I can be good with my words. It was before you were born.
Yep.
Like, I can't imagine the weight of achieving something like that. The positives, and of course, you've already mentioned how you've handled and how you handle, some of the negatives or some of the challenging aspects of the sport. But I said to you earlier, like, being a captain, y'all carry a lot, right? And I want to touch on two things when it comes to the health and well-being of athletes, but particularly rugby players, right? I think definitely always from the American football perspective, because of course that's what I said to you, like, I kind of know a little bit more about. But nonetheless, rugby is hectic. It's hectic. How do you then keep yourself safe? Is there a way to keep yourself safe? Is the sport taking care of athletes like yourself in terms of, like, trauma, particularly to the head?
Yeah, no, you're right. It's a physical sport, brutal. But I think the way that rugby is going, they are definitely trying to make the game a lot safer. In terms of things like tackle height, making sure that the head neck area is protected. Because before, it was just full on go at it.
Yeah.
But no, definitely now you're starting to see a lot of things changing, especially from, like, a discipline point of view. Anything from the neck up is a straight yellow card or a red card.
Okay.
So now they're bringing that in. So now that requires players to make sure that their tackle height is much lower than it might have been before. Because it is hectic like that. Even like head knocks at tier 1 level, so like your New Zealand's, England, South Africa's, so we wear mouth guards to protect the teeth. But now they have like a little chip in them. So if there's any knock to the head, it automatically picks that up, and that will then give the match doctor. So he sat in front of a laptop. So as soon as he sees that, they pull the guy straight off.
Wow.
Whereas in the past, if you get a head knock, you're like, nah, it's fine, I can play. I can play. And then, years down the line after you're done, it starts to affect you. And so they're definitely working towards making the game a lot safer. Yeah.
What about kids? Because, I mean, if changes have been happening now, you started it when you were a little kid. What was it? How do they keep kids safe when they're playing rugby?
I think technique is always important. So if you're learning technique from a very young age, so like in terms of like tackling, making sure that your head is on the right side and it's not on the wrong side. When you start teaching kids that, they pick it up quite quickly, and it becomes a habit.
How do you know what side to put your head at? If you're running, like, your head is just gonna go where it needs to go to.
Trust me, you'll find a way to get your head in the right position.
For real?
Yeah. But sometimes you get it wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get it wrong. But you do find a way of doing that. So if you're teaching it from a very young age, kids learn quite quickly, and they'll remember that stuff quite quickly, quite well as well. So that then allows them, as they get older, that's already been instilled in them. So it becomes easier as they get older. But trying to teach someone who is older and raw to the sport, it's slightly more difficult.
It's harder.
Yeah.
Have you seen or experienced that effect of the physical toll rugby can take on someone? Not just physical, actually, physical and mental.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's brutal. You deal with a lot of disappointments. We've spoken about losses, getting dropped, not being picked in the team. Those are kind of things that a lot of guys struggle with. You only have 23 guys that can play on a game day. So you might go into a camp with 30 odd people, but only 23 can get selected, and then even that, only 15 get picked to like the starting 15. Some guys aspire to want to be in the starting 15. I think most rugby players want to be a starter, and not come off the bench. So there's always that disappointment that people have to deal with all the time, and it does take a lot. But what I can say and what's pretty cool is that people have started to realize that mental health is so important, and it's as important as going to the gym or making sure that you're running fit, whatever it is. That mental aspect is now being taken care of. So you're starting to find teams having psychologists within a setup, which allows guys to, if they're struggling, to go and speak to someone, which is really important because, a couple of years ago, you would never be able to do that. You'd never be able to, being in a sport that we are, macho sport, opening up about how you're feeling and talking to people would never happen. But a lot of guys struggled from that. Yeah. But now you have the opportunity to go and guys encourage you to do that within the team. You don't feel like I can't go and talk because what are my teammates going to think of me? Now that's encouraged because we know that it does take a huge toll on you.
Yeah. And I can't let you go without us talking about the ladies.
Yes.
I got to talk about my girls. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you who you're dating. But if you want to tell us, you can tell us or who your wife is. But women's rugby.
Yes.
Is it going to be on the... I know that, I guess I've learned something. Tier 1 is the ones, like the big teams, right? So, of course, for example, England, like rugby, those girls are killing it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But there's more and more teams within Africa that are trying to make it, women's rugby teams. Do you think is there a female rugby team in Zimbabwe?
Yes.
There is? Okay, tell me about them.
Yeah, no, Shame, you know what, they do put in a lot of effort and they do try. Again, it's the backing. That's always tough. And it's always, and like, if you look at rankings, it's always going to be the Sables. And then probably the under-20s get a lot of backing. Then you have the sevens. Then you have the women's. So they are almost at the low end of the chart. But there's such talent within those ladies, and it's just about opportunities, man. They don't have that opportunity to be seen. They don't have as many games that they play. So it is tough. I mean, if you look at where your England's, your France in the ladies in ladies rugby, where they are and where we are, I mean, there's a massive gap there. But I just hopefully someone can give them an opportunity. Invest in them and we'll see them do really well, I believe.
Yeah. We need to talk more about it. Like women's sport. It's definitely getting better, but I feel that I look at it from a privileged perspective, being in the UK where there is more of a push, like you're saying. And definitely in Africa, I've done a few stories about that. And I was telling you, of course, before we started recording, in my capacity as a journalist, and I want to do more. I want to see more of the ladies. Y'all invest in the ladies, man. Because also women always bring money. Like legit, women bring money in whatever we do, So, clock it, you people of the money, the investors. So do you have a player that you would say that we should look out for, that we should be watching? Watch this kid, whoever that person is. It can also be a male, a female if you got one.
I'll just go with the males. Obviously, I spend a lot more time within the team, but I think a guy like Dion Kumalo, I believe that he's going to be the future Sables captain. He's hardworking. He's knocking on the door and almost breaking it down. He's obviously competing with two quality players within his position, but he's just to see his development from under 20s where he was an absolute star, then came into the Sables where he had to come down a bit and work his way up again, and just to see the amount of hard work that he's put in over the last couple of years and to see where he is now, I really believe that he's going to be an absolute superstar for this country.
Okay.
And our future captain as well.
All right.
Yeah.
So then how are we preparing for the 2027 Rugby World Cup?
So we've I don't know if you might have seen or not, but there's a tournament that World Rugby have created, and it's called the Nations Cup. So we're going to be taking part in that, where we will play internationals in July and November against quality teams, so that we're working towards understanding what it's going to be like in 2027. There's still a long way to go, but yeah, a lot of work is being done in the background. A lot of meetings with World Rugby. They're obviously going to invest money into us, which is great. It allows us to run the program a little bit more different and a little bit more professional, so heading towards where we want to go to. So yeah, there's a lot of work that's being done in the background, but us as players are putting in the effort on the field, off the field, in the gym. It's going to be hard to make that team because a lot of people are putting their hands up, so people are going to be fighting for those jerseys, fighting for an opportunity to get onto that plane. But that's what you want. You want the best of the best, competing and representing our country on the world stage.
You know what, Hilton? You've made me decide that I want to be there in the stage.
Exactly.
Not playing, of course. Watching you guys in 2027. So I'll be waiting for my ticket.
I hope you've started getting your visa ready.
And started getting all my money together.
Get it together.
This has been such a very fascinating conversation. I feel like I know a little bit more about rugby. I probably need to do some studying between now and the World Cup. So by the time 22, I got plenty of time. I got plenty time. Before I let you go, right? There is a segment that we call Pass the Mic here, where the previous guest leaves a question for the next guest. And because God loves me, and he was like, I'm going to give her more depth with this whole podcast. My previous guest was, of course, Hollywood makeup artist, Jackie Mgido. Yep. We were having a conversation, and I come to find out that she's your auntie.
Yeah, she's my aunt.
She's
my aunt like that.
You know what, Ka? Hey, I was just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It was a very fascinating thing to hear, but also very inspiring because clearly excellence runs in your family.
No, we've got amazing people. I mean, the work that Jackie's doing, and to see where she has taken her brand, and she's changed the makeup game in this country. Yes. So she's doing absolutely amazing and leading the way.
Okay. I agree with that. And she definitely wants to know what you doing. Because her pass the mic question to you, Hilton, is, before the end of the month, whose life are you going to impact honestly that you haven't already?
Definitely say the kids that we work with within the orphanages. I think that is something that I definitely want to do. As we're going into the festive season, as we're going into the new year, impacting their life, even if it's in the smallest way. So like I said earlier, hosting that Christmas party, seeing smiles on their faces, and just them enjoying themselves, gave me such a good feeling. Yeah. So I definitely think that we've got one more to go before the year ends. So that's okay. Definitely that.
And just so you know, she told me that I should call her
Yeah.
to tell her the answer. So I think she will approve of that answer.
I think so too. I think so too.
Now you get to leave a question for our next guest.
What are you going to do differently in 2026 as to what you did in 2025?
Oh, we like that. Yeah. What are the goals? What's the new year, new me?
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't go into the year with the same habits and expect a different result.
Exactly.
Yeah, we know. Pressure. You're putting pressure on them, Hilton.
It's always a good way to start the new year, I think. Reflecting on the year before. And then, as you said, try not to repeat the mistakes of the year before into the new year.
Yeah. What are you going to do differently?
Oh, I think obviously the goal is 2027. So, the way I'm going to train has to be a lot more different. Playing has to be a lot more different. How I'm looking after my body. I'm heading towards the other side of 30. So, a little bit more work needs to be done off the field in terms of recovery. But yeah, I just want to be locked in for the next 2 years. That's once in a lifetime opportunity. And as I said, it's not going to be easy to make that team, even with, the captaincy armband that I have now. I mean, that doesn't guarantee me a spot in the team.
What?
Yeah.
I was just about to, I'm like, wait till this man finishes. Because I want to ask him, wait, you're captain clearly, or surely you're guaranteed a space?
No,
you're not.
Performances, remember, as I said, the team is picked, then the captain is picked after the team.
Yeah, you did say.
So yeah, I have to put in good performances in order for me to, number one, keep my spot in the team. And the captaincy as well.
Okay.
So yeah, got a lot of hard work to put in over the next 2 years.
Wow. Okay, so you guys were tuned in. If you see Hilton out late at night, past 10 p.m., you better tell this man to get in his car and go home. Okay? Make sure he's not out to doing silly things, because he needs to be, disciplined.
Definitely.
I'm sure you've already got that anyways. But yeah, guys, do that. Make sure you keep an eye on him. Because we want to be there.
Yes, definitely.
We want you to be there, because you've done a great thing to have led the country to this type of space, to this level, and to have essentially created a record, So we want to see that carry on.
Thank you. Definitely. It's the goal.
That is the goal. And what Zimbabweans also do is, being like I said, trailblazers, change makers, all of that stuff, right? And I have a final segment that we call It's Giving Zimbabwe.
Mm-hmm.
So on social media, there was a little bit of something, some videos where people would say, oh, it's giving Zimbabwe, and there was kind of like negative connotations to it.
Yes.
So throughout the season, I'm asking my Zimbabwean guests to take back, that whole narrative by answering a question each. So your It's Giving Zimbabwe question is, what Zimbabwean value or mindset has carried you through different seasons of life, both on and off the pitch?
I think we spoke about it a little bit earlier. I think just making things work. We're often put in situations and where you have to hustle to work your way around. And I think that's a special thing that Zimbabweans have within us. To make things work. And I think obviously there've been certain times where things have not gone well, and I've had to find a way to make sure that it goes that way. So probably say that.
Yeah. You know what I'm thinking of? That's something that's come into my mind, and I don't know what you believe in, if you've got a faith or anything like that. But there's a story in the Bible of this woman. She was a widow. Her husband died, and she had 2 kids, 2 sons. And then she goes to the prophet, and he's like, "Yo, my husband left a lot of debt, and I ain't got nothing to pay for these people." And then he goes, "Go and get a jar and ask for oil or something like that." And then she's like, "Go and get jars. And she's just pouring lots and lots of oil. It just keeps coming out.
Yeah.
All the oil just keeps coming out, and she's able to, pay them all back. Until she had done what she needed to do, then the oil stopped running.
Yeah.
that is something that came to my mind. And I guess that's me. It's something that I'm going to leave with you.
Yeah.
That I'm just hoping that the oil will continue pouring out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this conversation as much as I have and learned something from the captain of the Zimbabwean rugby team, Hilton. I'm gonna be like really learning throughout this so that I know what rugby really truly is. Hilton, I know you have a lot of people who love you already and they know where they can find you. But for those who don't, can you just tell them over there, where they can find you?
I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Hilton_Mudariki on Instagram and Hilton Mudariki on Facebook.
All right. So y'all make sure you like, you follow, and you just support him in the comments. Yeah, support him in the comments because we all want to be also wearing those Sables jerseys. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast of With Nyasha Michelle. I've really, hope you guys have enjoyed it. I have. Don't forget to follow us at With Nyasha Michelle on the socials. I am at Nyasha Michelle _. And you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts or you can watch on YouTube. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Until later, until next time, bye.